Alright, a very warm welcome back everyone. Today I want to talk about another beat. So before we go on, I want to talk about these drums a little bit, because if you watched the video about image some weeks ago, you can probably think of some dependencies between these two songs. So essentially what I did is take some of the loops that I utilized in the song Image as well and put them into here, and this is what I came up with. So you hear now the melody for the first time, which is basically just some melody flux action. We are talking about this in just a few minutes probably. We have 3 basses again, and you have to mix them in the context of the arrangement. And of course we also have some other instruments that are not going to play just now, but what actually is important is this pad, which is ducked by the kick, or basically sidechained by the kick to be ducked. Now we are in the chorus section, which is basically just some guitars together with some brass ensemble. You can not necessarily hear the brass, but I'm just going to solo them. And this is just also an arpeggio that you are hearing, but very, very quietly. Back into the verse and back to the melody. So basically this melody flux here. Again, I can skip some of these parts if we get to bar 57, where we actually have the change in the chorus again. And what you hear is that you have a rise and hit that is building some of the action from the chorus again. And you have an instance of thrill that is automated, in this case with the X and Y parameters. So if I'm just opening this instrument, you can see that when I'm playing this back, you see the things that happen in the automation. And I think this fit quite well because it made some more noise than the rise and hit did. So basically, let me just quickly solo this so you can hear what I mean. You cannot hear it that prominently, but this is always or most often the case, that there are some instruments that are added in some arrangements that are only in there for the sole purpose of enriching the arrangement at this point, and not doing anything else. And we have the chorus section again with the guitars, but in this case we also have an Rhodes, not e-piano, Rhodes that are coming in there as well, which are just basically playing triads in a very closed format, and also with some glissando. And then you have like this sound effect, this ethereal earth sound effect, and the pad that is playing all along. And basically at this point we would be fading out again after the, I think, 3rd chorus, and this would just be the arrangement. So now let's take a look at some parts of the arrangement in the mixing window. I'm going to move into the mixing window now. We have some tracks, not very much, not very many, but we are going over them step by step again. So for the kick, nothing is done, but and this is maybe something that you can do for yourself as well. I'm using this equalizer here to visualize what the sub bass or what the bass in general is playing at the same time that my kick is playing. So just to find out if there are clashing frequencies here, and I found that there were not that many clashing frequencies here, so I didn't do anything. You can also do this in Cubase if you just go into the channel settings, and then you have, I think this is new in Cubase 11, you have the kick channel here, and then you can just use whatever bass channel you have, maybe for example the group channel, and you actually do not need to have an equalizer on there, but this is just from the information from each of these channel settings. You can see where the frequencies are playing, where each of this channel is playing, and you can utilize this for you as well. So then we have my sidechain trigger, which is just pre-fader sending to my modular icons track, which I talked about earlier, I think. This one here, which is just using this on the compressor. So every time the kick hits, my pad gets stuck, so the pad makes room for this kick. Not very much, but so that the kick gets a little bit more prominent in this situation, because the pad is playing all along. This makes it a little bit difficult to follow. Then we have some heads, some claps, some toms, and some crashes. All of them get reverb, and some of them also get delays. For the heads, I had to use a compressor to tame off the transients, and I had to use but I wanted to use a stereo delay for the harsh effect. In this case, again, to make it a little bit wider in a stereo spectrum. The crash again is also utilized with a compressor, because I had very tremendous transients and I do not need them in this crash, so I have to tame them off. Additionally to this very low, very much lowered gain in the pre-gain section. Then we have the loop that is basically playing. I had to compress this too, but in this case not very harshly, just to tame off the transients for the kick a little bit. And this is just all that happens here. And after this there is the long time nothing done, but when you are going for my reverbs, I think this is something I should mention. So the template this song originated from had reverb short, medium and long for the drums already prepared, and a delay track, but you see here that we have another reverb track for the drums, and this is basically due to the fact that I imported some of the tracks from another project, so in this case the loop I talked about earlier, and in order not to mess up my arrangement or my routing, I just kept this reverb track in there in order to just utilize all of the information that I had before and not have to change this over my other channels. For the bass, this is what I mentioned earlier. We have a cut for the sub bass at 50 Hz, which is much for a sub bass already. For the U bass, I didn't do anything because this was actually the bass I went for. I want to hear in the arrangement, but this U bass got some chorus and some reverb, and you have to be very careful with chorus and reverb for your bass, because this can muddy up your mix really bad if you do it wrong. So in this case, I wanted to mix it only a little bit and not too much. And for the high frequency bass, again we have some cut here just to utilize the high frequencies of this bass and not the lower ones, in order to make it fit well in the mix, and also some saturation. Saturation in this case because the high frequency bass of course has high information, and if you want to listen to this on multiple speakers or especially smaller speakers, in-ear speakers for example, then you need these higher frequencies in order to actually listen to the bass. And then we have on the group of these basses, this is something I usually don't do that much, but in this case I had to. We have again a compressor which is taming off everything below 20 Hz, just so the bass doesn't muddy my whole arrangement, and then a compressor that is used as a sidechaining compressor, but in this case does not have an input because it wasn't necessary anymore. I think the bass fitting quite well already, so I didn't have to use sidechaining for this purpose. For this E-piano, or for the Rhodes, we don't have any inserts because they are already prepared in the instrument, but for my whole synth area we have some inserts, especially reverb and delay. Delay only for this ethereal earth stuff here. This one, so the pling basically. Right, and everything else just gets reverb and a little bit delay for the melody flux, because this is my melody, so to say, and I want to listen to this. But apart from that, we don't need any inserts here because they already fit well in the arrangement. We talked about this sidechaining compressor already, and I think this is basically it. Yeah, it's apart from the guitars. So we have a guitar rig instance here, which is just making my guitars a little bit more electric. So I wanted this for both of my guitars. You can see that they are left and right panned. You can see that they are left and right panned. So the first one is just the first one is just the acoustic guitar, and the second one is just electric guitar. And the electric guitar I wanted to have a little bit more electric character, and for the acoustic guitar I just went for a little bit. And afterwards we have compression over the guitar track, as well as a harsh effect again. And this is again the whole arrangement. I think there is not much happening anymore. Yeah, just apart from my other tracks. And I think this concludes it for this session, and I'm going to see you in the next one then again.